Welcome to the ANY Video Show, the place and platform for independent creatives. I'm your host, Kenny ANY Moore. This is another date night music episode. My guest has a hot new single out, but before we start the show, would you do two things for me? First, go like and subscribe to the Minds of Creativity Facebook page and YouTube channel so you can check out the rest of the content and get alerts when new shows are available. Second, connect with me on social media at Coach_ANY KENY on Twitter, TikTok, Clubhouse, Instagram, and YouTube. So you can follow the show and keep up with the rest of the stuff that I'm doing. All right, my guest is ready. I'm ready, so let's start the show. Before my guest comes on to talk about her new single, let's watch a clip to check it out. Here's Jessica Jolia featuring Jan Hunter Jr. with Caught in the Middle on the ANY Video Show.
Emotional. Hear what he said that about me, cause I keep on the roll. Just when it comes down to my heart, cause I know pain like it's my last name. And sometimes I get afraid, comfortable with change. But I wanna get used to us, I wanna get used to trust, love over lust, cause I deserve something real. How do I unlearn what I feel? My playing tricks on me. Is it wise that I be lonely? Where does it start? How does it end? Should I let go? Where to begin?
All right, now joining me is Jessica Jolia. She's a singer and songwriter from Sacramento, California. She's an educated and classically trained singer who's toured, recorded, and or shared the stage with people like Dr. Dre, T.I., Earth, Wind, and Fire, and more. You just heard her new single, so let's bring her on to talk about it. There we go. There she is. Hey, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on. How's everything?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing great. So listen, let's get right to it. You're busy, I'm busy, so let's go ahead and get right on this. All right, so here's a question. This might be a funny question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. How is someone who attended Oklahoma Christian University doing R&B music?
No, I think that's a fair question. I applied to a lot of different schools coming out of high school, and to be completely honest, I really, really wanted to go to Berkeley in Boston, and I did get accepted and I got a scholarship there, but I got a larger scholarship for Oklahoma Christian. And also, I grew up with my father being a minister and, very much a church kid. So it aligned with my upbringing, my lifestyle, and it's cheaper. So it worked out.
Understood. And listen, I say all the time, when you with that special someone, you're not listening to no hymns. You understand?
You gotta keep God in your heart.
Oh, for sure.
But I feel like I have a nice balance. I love singing in church, and I've actually recently done a really cool song with Jan that's definitely more in the gospel Christian genre. But
all right, hold on. We gotta save that.
Yes, I was gonna say put a pin in that.
Yeah, we put a pin in that. I definitely want to talk about that. So we're talking backstage, and you're currently pursuing your MBA while still putting out music. How are you able to manage these two things at the same time?
It's challenging. I started the program last year, so this is my second year now.
Okay.
And because I'm a person who loves learning, so generally speaking, when I've been either writing for myself or for others or touring or a combination of all three, I've also been studying something. So I am used to being in some sort of a program education wise, and also, being on the road or having to be very diligent in my studio efforts. But a degree that is this intense was something new to me. So the first 3 trimesters, because we don't get a summer break, Pepperdine doesn't work that way.
Wow.
So the first 3 trimesters, my intention was to really just focus on school, get into a good rhythm, and kind of see how much time would be demanded of me to do well, because I always strive to do my best in everything that I
Sure.
do. So I didn't want to be too thinly spread.
Right.
Um, and then I got to a point towards the end of last year where I was like, okay, I kind of feel like I know how many hours I need to allocate either per day or per week to the program, and then how much time remains for the other things. Um, but it's a lot. It takes a lot of diligence. Time management is
Yeah.
crucial,
Yeah.
because you slip up one day and it affects the rest of the week.
Sure.
So it's not easy.
Right.
I kind of just, it was a trial and error thing until I finally figured out about roughly how much time needs to be allocated for this and this and this and this
Mhm.
to be happy.
Yes. Because I mean, for me, I'm a routine guy. So
Yeah.
if I can't put it into some form of routine, then I'm gonna be all messed up.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm a very much a creature of habit. I don't like to be thrown off, and that is why I gave myself the space to learn, to figure out, what do we need to do well here, and also have space to do well in the other areas that you are really passionate about.
I got you. So the MBA, is it to further understand the business side of music, or just to expand your knowledge in business in general?
I think primarily it is to expand my knowledge, but also to learn, business principles that I would not, they wouldn't come to me naturally in the capacity that I work within and that I have experience working within, and learning how to apply the concepts that perhaps, apply to specific sectors of business, not
Sure.
necessarily business, because I'm getting an MBA in finance. So
Okay.
it's specific to music business, but there's so many principles that I'm learning. And in my mind, and I think it's because I'm so much of a creative person, it's more like, this works over here. How do I make it work over here? Because
Right.
for me, I really strive to learn a lot, but also to think of new ways to apply, concepts and principles that might have been, in existence long before I knew, but could also work over here in this area and over here in this
Right.
area. So
Right.
definitely wanting to, just expand the amount of information, that I have access to and that I have a really solid grasp on, but also learning how to maybe think of new ways and be innovative in how I apply, like what works over here in retail might actually work over here in this space too.
Oh, 100%. I think that the fact that you're going for a finance MBA, I think it's going to help your career because, the just think about the simple thing like a break-even analysis where
Mhm.
you could apply that to how many units do I need to sell? Because production costs,
Correct.
man,
Yes.
listen, production costs start to add up. So you need to know
Yes.
like how many units I need to sell
Yeah.
so
It
I can start
definitely
making
takes
some
you
money. Like,
away
yeah.
from it takes you away from, you know, at least for a person like me, it takes me out of the space of, just naturally being focused on creative too. I want to do that, and I want to pour as much as I can into the creative process, but also be mindful of all these other things that also matter, when it comes to whatever your goals and your projections may be. So it's helpful for me because I can still, have the fun that I have, but I can also
Right. Right.
more knowledgeable in my
Right.
strategies and my approaches for releasing things and targeting certain
Definitely.
audiences. It's a beautiful addition. That's what I can say.
Sounds great. So let's switch gears a little bit. So I'm a 90s R&B guy,
Okay.
and you have worked with Teddy Riley, Faith Evans, and New Edition, just to name a few. Give me a funny story or one of your favorite memories of working with them.
Um, well, you know what I'll say. It is funny because Teddy Riley, I we met each other initially through social media.
Okay.
I had toured with a handful of people, and R&B is one of my most, if not my most favorite genres. So I've worked with a lot of really established and accoladed artists in that genre for some years now, but I hadn't worked with him, and I still don't know exactly how he came across my page and my content, but he reached out to me there, and I remember. he messaged me and said, "Hey, I'm going to give you a call today and just talk to you about such and such song," whatever the song was that he heard at the time.
Mhm.
I was like, "Okay, good," because it's really him or it's not. So I
Right, right. No, listen, man, it's a lot of, a lot of catfishing out
yes,
here, a lot of finesses
absolutely.
out here. Yeah.
So I said, okay. And I sent him my email address and my phone number. And I said, you can contact me whichever way is preferable for you. But if you intend to call me, I'll be looking out for your call.
Mhm.
And I saved his number because he sent it to me in advance. So I knew when he would call. And I saw it popping up. And I said, okay, this is cool because like I said, it's gonna be Teddy Riley or it's gonna be a fake trying to be Teddy Riley. Because I know his voice is fine.
Yeah.
And I answered the phone and I knew right away that it was him. And it was such a full circle moment for me because I was a kid. I know I was listening to music that was probably very mature for my age group, but I knew certain things that I liked to hear. So it wasn't even necessarily about, the lyrical content. It was like, how does this sound and how does it make me feel? So I was
Mhm.
very familiar with Blackstreet and Teddy Riley and just lots of music that my parents and my aunts and
Sure,
other
sure,
family members listened to. So
sure.
hearing his voice over the phone was crazy
I
because
bet.
part of me, it was kind of like a 50-50 split, right? Like it could be him, but it could be like I'm trying to get over on you and how much do you know about the person you're supposed to be talking to?
Mhm.
But it was such a beautiful experience because he was such a kind person and he was really just reaching out to say, I love what you're doing, keep doing what you're doing. If I can help you in any way with what you're doing, let me know. And it was so cool because, it made me think of little kid me, where it was just like, who would have thought
Oh yeah,
out of the blue, you're talking to
absolutely.
this person that you really respect.
Yeah, I
Um,
call that a
you know,
mama I made it moment.
absolutely. So I don't know. That wasn't necessarily funny, but it was definitely
That's a
something that
great
I
memory
didn't
though.
expect to
Yeah,
happen.
for
Yeah,
sure. For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so I could tell you, you go back to Blackstreet, I'll go back to Guy.
Oh,
So
okay. You got
yeah,
that vibe.
listen. No, 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 I'm going to Groove Me. So I'm gonna tell you
Oh, okay.
super quick story. Shout out to my uncle Rod Strickland. He took me. I live in Jacksonville, but I'm originally from New York, New Jersey area.
Okay.
So this is when they first came out. They did Groove Me a cappella at Weequahic Park in Newark, New Jersey, and we went to see them. That's how far back I go with Teddy Riley. So for you to have that moment with him is just super
Oh,
cool.
that's a great song though. When as soon as you said it, I thought about skating at the skating rink. Skating is one of my hobbies, among other,
Okay,
random unspoken things. But I love to roller skate,
cool.
and that's one of my favorite songs to skate to because it's just got a nice, little
Yep, exactly.
hey baby
Right, exactly,
tonight.
exactly. And the hits from him just go on and on so the fact that you
Absolutely.
had that encounter with him and that the conversation with him. I always say the power of social media.
Yes. Yes.
It's the
Absolutely.
power
Yeah.
of social media.
Yep.
So look,
You can never teach you wouldn't save.
let's get into the single. There's some really clever. You're a clever songwriter. That's what I like to call you. You're a clever songwriter.
Thank
How did
you.
you come? Oh, for sure. How did you come up with the idea for it, and then talk about how the song came together on the production side?
Okay, so let me talk about Jan for a second because
Sure.
he's one of my favorite people. I actually stumbled upon his music kind of, I would say, by accident. I'm sure it wasn't an accident because I think everything happens for a reason.
For
But I
sure.
wasn't
Agreed.
looking for him because I didn't know who he was. I was just kind of browsing through my explore page on Instagram and one of his videos happened to pop up. And
Mhm.
for me, I feel like a lot of times the algorithm isn't really working for me and it suggests things I'm not interested in. But I could see a little sneak peek of how he captured his video. And I was like, well, that looks like cool. Let me watch it. And then I was like, wow, he's really, really talented. So let me,
Mhm.
follow him and reach out to him and see if he responds and kind of see what, goes from there. And come to find out, he said, "Oh, I know who you are. Yeah, I've been watching you for a while." And I said, "Wow, I forgive me for being late to the party. You're extremely talented.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you open to working with new artists and songwriters and so on?" And he said, "Oh, absolutely." And so he sent me like a folder of music. And so the first song that we did together was Ooh La La, and we released
Mhm.
that the end of last year. This song, Caught in the Middle, I sat with the song, and this is very common for me. I generally don't walk into the studio with a preconceived idea of what I want to talk about, unless it's for
Right.
maybe someone else. But if it's for me, I like things to be free flowing and very natural because I think that is what works best for me. So that particular day, I wanted to sit with what he sent, and I listened to that
Mhm.
one a handful of times, and I was just kind of exploring what sonically, what he
Sure.
sent made me feel like.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, so this is really nice. It's really ambient. Um, and it kind of feels melancholy. And you could kind of take the melancholy and make it a good thing. You could make it a bad thing, or
Mhm.
you can
Mhm.
make it I'm just like in the middle of melancholy, and I kind of
Sure,
wanted
sure.
to sit into it.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so I did the hook first, and I sent it over to him because that matters to me. Like, I like anytime I'm collaborating, I want everybody to feel like we're on one accord and everybody's
Sure,
good.
sure, sure.
So I sent it to him, and he liked it. And I said, okay, cool. So I'll build from there. But it was really just intentionally listening to the music and letting the music inspire the lyrics. I didn't want to specifically talk about any certain subject matter. It kind of made me feel a way, and I came
Mhm.
up with the hook, and then we were on the
Yeah,
same page. We just kind of built from there.
awesome. So it sounds like you just um the vibe you got from the Sonic just inspired your lyrics.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now
100%.
is this a you know caught in the middle? This could be some relationship stuff. Was you venting here? Was you kind of emoting? Was you trying to get some stuff off your chest?
This is hilarious you asked me that because my father literally called me a few days ago revisiting the song because he's heard it a handful of times now. And he asked me the same thing. And I said, I understand why, as a listener, you had this curiosity, like, oh, well, is it about you? And who is it about? And what's going on? And, there are some songs that I feel like are very personal and very much a release, for me, and I'm sure for many other songwriters. But this one, my objective was to connect with the music and also to tell a story that I felt like was very relatable.
Oh, for
Whether
sure,
it was, relationship, it could be your job,
for
um,
sure.
any decision that's difficult where you're kind of like, I could go this way or that way, and I'm really not sure because there's pros and cons, kind of that I have to weigh out either way. So this one is not specific to me. But I'm sure, many people can relate to it. And, I've definitely had many difficult decisions to make where I felt like I'm really torn between doing this or
Mhm,
doing that.
for
Um,
sure.
so I connect with it, but it just, this time, it's not what's happening to me right now.
I got you. I got you. But I think that's why the song, to your point, why the song has gotten the buzz that it has, and people are responding to it so well because we've all been caught in the middle of something.
Hmm.
So I just think it's super smart. Um, so now let me ask you this: you got two singles with Jan, and will we be getting a full project from the two of you, or some more collaborations down the line?
Well, I will say we have definitely recorded some things that you haven't heard yet.
Okay.
Um, So the likelihood of a full project coming out this year is very high.
Okay.
I
I
don't wanna
like it.
I don't wanna reveal too much too
I
soon,
get it. I get it. I get it.
but, Jan is super talented, and he's such a fun person to work with. It's a joy, it's a treat, it's a pleasure. So, I don't take it for granted, and I'm really picky when it comes to collaborating because I know how picky I am. So when you find someone that you really kind of just mesh with, you
Sure.
hold it near and dear.
Sure,
So
sure.
I won't tell too much, but
Fair
you
enough.
can keep an eye out for
Oh
more.
yeah, yeah. So listen, I'll just wait. I'll just wait until it gets posted on social media. Then I'll just hit you up and just be like, hey, you and Jan, come on back and talk about the whole project. That's all.
Yes, there we go. There we go. I love
You
that.
know, win-win. Win-win. All right. So you said you write for other people, and you talked about your creative process in terms of writing for yourself. Tell me a little bit about your creative process in terms of how you write for other people. Is it similar? Is it different? Or how is it?
Um, there are some similarities, but when you are writing for a specific artist or a specific purpose, a la, this is a sync placement for a specific scene in a film. It has to cater to what's happening in this, 30-second, space and span of time. You do have to prioritize, what is the objective, right? So if
Right.
the objective is to capture a certain emotion, you're going to aim for that first. But then for me, I'm still bearing in mind this is still the music I'm working with. What is being pulled out of me from this music in conjunction with whatever the theme might be. So I,
Mhm.
I think, when you're writing for someone else or for another purpose, um, you don't necessarily have all the same freedoms, but you're able to kind of tap into the areas where okay, I know how to pull from here and I know how to pull from here, and we're still going to create, the desired result.
Gotcha. Gotcha. You touched on sync music. As indie artists, can you talk about the importance of kind of diversifying and varying the way that you put out content?
Well, especially as an independent artist, unless you're heavy into touring and you're doing really well with, merch sales, um, the revenue that you're generating from your streams and from your downloads is not necessarily going to allow you to allocate money for ad spend and other things that might, broaden the
Right.
scope of your audience.
Right.
Um, so you have to be mindful of the other avenues of revenue that exist. And sync is great because there are residuals involved. So you can be contracted to write a song for this specific scene. Or somebody might reach out to you who has a sync library and they're constantly pitching to films and television shows and what do you have that might fit XYZ. Because there's, generally speaking, you get an upfront fee, and then you also get the residuals from the
When
broadcast.
it gets placed, yeah. Right.
Yeah. So it especially, like I said, for an independent artist, it's a great way to be able to really actualize all of your ambitions. You're not relying solely on your streams and your downloads, and especially not the streams, because every platform has a different rate that they pay out. It's less
Right.
than a
Right.
penny per stream,
Right.
and it takes a lot, and if
Right.
you're someone who's kind of just building your audience, you cannot rely on that to be able to achieve all of your goals. It's a great start. But with sync, there's, generally speaking, everything is kind of negotiable, but generally speaking, there's a monetary compensation involved up front. There's residuals often involved, and more than that, there's massive exposure. There's a difference between I put my song out on Spotify with these, millions of other artists,
Absolutely.
right? Versus,
Absolutely.
I have the opening or the end credits for XYZ film. It's different,
Absolutely.
or even for, a theme song for a television show, or a commercial. I mean, there's more
So
than
many
a
avenues.
way, to see money coming back to you after everything you pour out into the music that you do.
Absolutely. I'm glad you touched on that because I think sometimes as creatives and sometimes as artists, we think that, it's just projects and singles and that's the only way to be able to put your content out there. But now, not only do you have sync, but now with social media, you got reels,
Yep.
you know what I mean? To your point with jingles and things of that nature, there's so many avenues that you can get your music heard that we can't just focus on just putting out, singles and projects and EPs. So
Absolutely.
yeah. All right. So listen, as we get ready to wrap up, you kind of touched on what's next for you, just lightly. Tell my audience how they can connect with you online and then how they can follow you on social media.
Absolutely. So website is www.jessicajolia.com. And then any social that you prefer, my handle is the same. It's just at Jessica Jolia. So Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter,
Right.
TikTok, all of the things at Jessica Jolia.
Yes. And I can tell you guys that she's interactive, she connects, she replies, she's very, very engaging. So connect with her and she'll definitely connect back with you.
Yes, I absolutely love to connect, and I'm trying to get more on the live situation so people can see me live and in real time. But I absolutely respond to messages and comments and emails, all of that. I appreciate anyone who is appreciating the journey and all that I am pursuing. So yes, reach out to me. I'll reach back.
Absolutely. All right, Jessica, listen, I appreciate a few minutes of your time. All the best with the singles. I look forward to the upcoming. Oh, all right, we're not going to touch on that.
Yes.
Look for the forthcoming, what's coming next. And, you have you got a home here at the ANY KebnY Video Show. Welcome to come on anytime.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, all the best. All right, that was Jessica Jolia. Really appreciate a few minutes of her time and for joining me. And that's going to be it for this episode of the ANY KebnY Video Show. Again, I want to thank Jessica Jolia for joining me. If you have any questions, comments, like your brands and services to be advertised and promoted on the show, or if you want your music video to be featured on the show, send an email to kanmmusicpub@gmail.com. Again, that's kanmmusicpub@gmail.com. Subscribe to the Minds of Creativity YouTube channel, which is a part of the All Sports, All Plays network, so you can check out the rest of the content and so you can get the alert when new episodes are available. You can become a patron on my Patreon page. Just go to patreon.com/ANY KEbnY to get exclusive access to behind the scenes video and free show merchandise. Or you can order your merchandise at the online store, which is ANY KEbnY Radio Show.threadless.com. Again, that's ANY KEbnY Radio Show.threadless.com. Shout out to all my patrons and people who have ordered merchandise. Really appreciate your support. And you can connect to me and follow me on social media at Coach_ANY KEbny on Twitter, TikTok, Clubhouse, Instagram, and YouTube. And on my Facebook music page, ANY KebnY Music, which is spelled capital ANY, capital KE, lowercase b, lowercase n, and capital Y. So until next time, remember, be positive on purpose. producers, and content creators. Led by myself and Tobias Tanker Jr., we bring you the best the industry has to offer in those categories. Go to KANYKEbnY and let us bring your creative ideas to life. Keeping Alive in Music Collective is for the people, for the culture, and for the music.